The Grammys ended, the cameras shut off, and most people thought the night was over. That's where they were wrong. Because while the trophies were handed out and the red carpet cooled down, a completely different story was just getting started. One that never made the official broadcast. Behind closed doors, music's biggest names weren't easing into the night. They were going harder. Multiple parties, multiple locations, no scripts, no filters, and some of the most unexpected pairings you could imagine. The kind of scenes that remind you why after-parties are where reputations are made, moments go viral, and quiet headlines turn loud fast. Justin Bieber wasn't slipping out quietly. Billie Eilish wasn't lying low. And somehow, Martha Stewart became one of the most talked-about faces of the night, again. From luxury hotels to Hollywood's most guarded hangouts, stars bounced from one scene to the next, like the awards were just a warm-up. What makes this night different isn't just who showed up, it's how loose things got once no one was supposed to be watching. Phones came out, music got louder, and a few moments sparked more buzz than anything that happened on stage. And once you see who crossed paths and what went down after midnight, it's hard to look at the 2026 Grammys the same way again. Because the real headlines didn't happen under the spotlights. They happened after everyone thought the night was finished. Justin Bieber didn't fade into the background once the Grammys wrapped. He did the exact opposite. While most artists were swapping tuxedos for exits, Bieber walked straight into the chaos and instantly became the center of it. Inside one of the most exclusive parties of the night at the Beverly Hills Hotel, Bieber showed up with zero interest in keeping things low-key. Open hoodie, bare chest, no entourage wall. He moved through the crowd like he owned the room, hands locked onto a friend's shoulders, nodding along as Kanye West's Gold Digger blasted through the speakers. It wasn't polished, it wasn't staged, and that's exactly why people couldn't stop watching. What stood out wasn't just the look, it was the energy. This wasn't the carefully managed Bieber fans usually see. This was loose, confident, and completely unplugged from the awards show image. Phones popped up fast, clips spread even faster, and suddenly his after-party presence was getting more attention than some of the night's biggest wins. And that raised eyebrows, because when a star that big drops the filter in a room full of cameras, even unofficial ones, people start asking questions. Was this just post-show adrenaline or a signal that Bieber's entering a different phase altogether? Either way, he wasn't done yet, because as wild as that moment felt, it was only one stop on a much longer night, and the next scene would bring an entirely different kind of spotlight. Lauryn Hill's night didn't peak on the Grammy stage, it evolved after it. While most performances fade once the applause dies down, hers followed her straight into the after-parties, where the reaction felt even louder and more personal. Inside the Beverly Hills Hotel, the energy shifted the moment she arrived. This wasn't chaotic hype or viral clout chasing. It was respect. People leaned in, phones stayed up longer, and when the MC took the mic, the moment turned symbolic. Lauryn wasn't just praised, she was crowned. The host called her a snow leopard, a phrase meant to highlight confidence, power, and timeless appeal without saying it outright. That label stuck, and you could feel why. Lauryn moved through the room like someone who didn't need to prove anything. No chasing attention, no loud entrances, just quiet dominance that made everyone else react. Artists half her age were visibly locked in, soaking up the moment like they were standing next to a living chapter of music history. What made this scene hit harder was the contrast. Earlier in the night, she delivered a performance that reminded everyone why her name still carries weight. But here, away from the stage lights, the love felt unfiltered. No scripts, no awards, just real recognition from people who know exactly what she represents. And while the crowd was still buzzing from her presence, the night took another sharp turn, because not far away, someone else was about to flip the after-party energy completely, and nobody saw it coming. Jamie Foxx didn't walk into the after-party trying to steal the spotlight. It just found him anyway. From the second he stepped in, dressed head to toe in a colorful suit topped off with an oversized hat, it was clear he was in a different mood than everyone else. Playful, relaxed, and ready to have fun. At first, he blended into the crowd, moving to his own track, Blame It, smiling, vibing, clearly enjoying the moment like any other guest. No rush, no performance energy, just Jamie being Jamie. But that calm didn't last long, because once the mic appeared, everything changed. What happened next wasn't planned. No announcement, no build-up. He grabbed the mic like it was instinct, and suddenly the room snapped to attention. Conversation stopped, cameras lifted. The party turned into a pop-up show in seconds. It felt raw, unscripted, and way more memorable than a rehearsed set. That's what made the moment stick. In a night full of polished appearances and quick cameos, Fox reminded everyone why he's different. He doesn't just show up, he adapts to the room and takes it over when the timing feels right. And just as the crowd was catching its breath, word started spreading about another party across town. Different scene, different faces, and the guest list that no one expected to mix this well. That matters because this story isn't about grand gestures, it's about restraint. His character doesn't chase connection, he tolerates it from a distance. The cactus isn't just a joke, it's a visual shorthand for emotional boundaries. Close enough to keep company, sharp enough to keep people out. If a more expressive actor played this role, the metaphor would collapse. Too much warmth and the isolation wouldn't feel real. Too much intensity and it would feel dramatic. Gleeson sits perfectly in the middle, present but guarded. There's also been quiet speculation among fans that his role mirrors a familiar type in Swift's storytelling, the emotionally unavailable partner. Not framed as a villain, not framed as cruel, just someone who never quite opens the door all the way. The video never confirms this, but it doesn't need to. The resemblance is enough to spark conversation. And that's the key. Gleeson doesn't explain the character, he embodies the gap, the space where connection should be, but isn't. Which makes his presence more than casting, it's a signal. Because when someone like him finally steps toward real connection, the moment carries weight, and that weight sets up the next shift in the story. One that doesn't come from performance, but from who else is suddenly in the frame. According to the official story, Opalite began with a throwaway joke on the Graham Norton show, a casual comment, a laugh. Then suddenly, a script, a cast, and a fully realized music video packed with A-list names. It's charming, it's clean, and it's exactly the kind of story people like to believe. But here's the thing, projects like this don't materialize on impulse. Coordinating schedules for actors of this caliber, locking locations, building sets, and aligning release windows isn't something that happens because someone had a funny idea on a couch. That doesn't mean the story's false, it just means it's likely incomplete. Fans online have quietly pointed this out, not as an accusation, but as curiosity. Some speculate that the Graham Norton moment wasn't the beginning, but the reveal, a convenient narrative that makes the project feel spontaneous instead of engineered. If that's true, it wouldn't be deceptive, it would be strategic. Swift has always understood how behind-the-scenes stories shape how art is received. When something feels accidental, it feels human. When it feels planned, people look for motives. Framing the video as a happy accident lowers defenses and shifts focus back to fun instead of intent. And notice how well that aligns with the video itself. Opalite is about manufactured happiness sold as organic joy, a polished product wrapped in friendliness. The origin story mirrors the theme almost too perfectly. To be clear, there's no proof that this was staged from the start, but the symmetry is hard to ignore. A narrative about coincidence supporting a story about curated emotion. Which raises a sharper question. If the origin story is part of the presentation, what else in this video is designed to feel natural while being anything but? One or two celebrity appearances would have felt like a fun bonus, but Opalite doesn't stop there. It stacks faces, familiar ones, respected ones, enough that viewers start scanning instead of settling. And that shift in behavior matters. Cameo overload changes how a video is watched. Instead of following the emotional thread, the audience starts playing recognition games, spotting names, replaying scenes, checking social media to confirm who appeared where. Attention splinters, the story becomes harder to pin down. That could be accidental, or it could be deliberate. There's a long-standing tactic in visual storytelling. When you don't want viewers to fixate too deeply on a single metaphor, you give them movement, noise, variety. Each cameo becomes a momentary detour that keeps the emotional reading fluid instead of fixed. Swift has leaned on this before during periods of intense scrutiny. When narratives get heavy, she widens the frame. The more faces you add, the harder it becomes to reduce the project to one clean interpretation. The video stays fun, even if something sharper is happening underneath. At the same time, the cameos act as validation. This world isn't lonely because it lacks people, it's lonely because connection is missing. The irony is subtle, but pointed, surrounded by faces, yet still isolated. So are the cameos a distraction, or are they a signal that visibility doesn't equal intimacy? The video never answers that directly. It just keeps moving, right towards an ending that forces the question to land whether you're ready for it or not. In a video packed with surreal ideas and new faces, the Eras Tour dancers stand out precisely because they're familiar. They ground the chaos. The moment they appear, the video feels connected to something stable, something fans already trust. That familiarity isn't accidental. When an artist wants to evolve without triggering resistance, continuity is the anchor. By pulling in dancers tied to one of the most successful tours in modern pop history, Swift sends a subtle signal. This is still the same world. Nothing is being abandoned. You're safe to follow. But that reassurance does double duty. While the dancers create emotional comfort, the tone of the video quietly drifts. The themes grow softer, stranger, more introspective. The presence of the dancers smooths that transition, making the shift feel organic instead of abrupt. It's a form of narrative control. Familiar elements reduce friction. They keep viewers from questioning the direction too aggressively, allowing deeper ideas to slip through without resistance. There's also a symbolic layer. The Eras Tour represents performance at its peak, precision, repetition, spectacle. Placing that energy inside a story about artificial happiness and emotional isolation creates tension. The contrast is subtle, but it's there. What you're watching isn't a break from the past, it's a bridge. One foot planted firmly in what fans know, the other stepping towards something less polished and more uncertain. And that balance sets the stage for the final moment, where the video stops cushioning the message and lets it land on its own terms. On the surface, the ending of Opalite looks like a resolution. The tone softens, the chaos settles. There's a sense that things are finally aligning. But that feeling is carefully constructed and limited. Nothing changes until the characters let go of what kept them safe. The rock, the cactus, the emotional buffers that required nothing and risked nothing. The video doesn't reward them for endurance, it rewards them for surrender. That distinction matters. This isn't a message about patience or persistence, it's about replacement. The happiness promised earlier only becomes real once the artificial versions are discarded. Until then, Opalite doesn't transform, it distracts. What makes the ending unsettling is how conditional it is. Connection is offered, but not guaranteed. It depends on vulnerability, on stepping away from the things that made loneliness manageable. The video doesn't show what happens next, and that omission is the point. Some fans have interpreted this as optimism. Others see it as a quiet warning. If happiness requires risk, what happens when risk feels impossible? The video never answers that, but it doesn't pretend the choice is easy either. In that sense, the ending isn't closure, it's exposure. It removes the fantasy and leaves the characters and the viewer face to face with the cost of real connection. And that's why Opalite lingers. Not because it explains everything, but because it refuses to sell a clean ending. The magic works, but only if you're willing to stop relying on it.